Welcome to the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright, an exciting thrill ride through the wonderful world of HBCU athletics. Before our trip begins, let's set a few ground rules. First, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Second, hit the like button. Third, please be sure to tell someone else about this show. Now that we've got these things out of the way, it's time for our journey to begin. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your ride.
All right, I'm back. I'm sure everybody can hear me now. Apologies. All right, so let's get back and let's start again. So nobody can hear it. Nobody can hear anything. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's start from the beginning then. Let's go back to the beginning then. All right, so we've got Prairie View going up against Valley. Shout out to Valley. Now, what we had a couple years ago in this matchup, Valley, as everybody knows, they were playing out the string. They were headed to the end of the season, really had nothing else going, right? Then what ended up happening was you had Prairie View came in only needed to beat Valley just to get into the SWAC championship game. And as we know, Prairie View was upset in that matchup. And so this is the first trip back since then. Now we know that they played last year in Prairie View and they beat them handily. Now, I think that Prairie View, considering where they're sitting, they know that they have to win the rest of their games pretty much to make it to the SWAC championship. Their odds are pretty much, very slim, but I don't think that they're going to give it up in this game. And I think that Prairie View is going to find a way to get this one done. All right. Then the game that I was just talking about before we were talking about the technical problems that I had. This is the game down here in Grambling. Or down there in Daytona with Grambling taking on Bethune-Cookman. Now, we know that Grambling, they had that tough loss down there at Texas Southern last Saturday night. Miles Crawley is injured. He injured his ankle, and he's not going to be playing in this game. The presumptive starter will be Del J. Bailey. And with Del J. Bailey, he will have a full week of practice. So we'll see what happens. As everybody knows, Mickey Joseph, he had a lot of things to say about officiating in the SWAC and got fined $5,000. And he's right. He's very right about what he said. And but what I think is going to happen in this game, I think that he's getting the attention of the players, and I think that they're going to back him up with his comments. Now, I would be curious to see how many calls they get in their favor in this game, but nonetheless, I think that in a game that won't necessarily be pretty, you'll see Grambling be able to pull this one out and get the win and get out of Daytona. Now we got homecoming down in Jackson. You've got Pine Bluff coming in off of a win from their homecoming last week, where they defeated Valley. And, they've got a few good pieces. Makai Hagans is the leading passer in the SWAC. He had 4 total touchdowns last week, 2 rushing, 2 passing. And then you've got Giovanni Gibson, who's the leading receiver in all of FCS. And it's been a long while since the SWAC has had a 1,000-yard receiver, and they're getting ready to have one in Giovanni Gibson. But Jackson State right now, they're rolling towards what looks like an East championship. But they still have to play all the games, and this is one of the games that definitely will have their attention because I can't see them possibly losing a second straight homecoming. I think that they come in, they get focused, probably more focused than they did in the game that they played last Saturday at Bethune-Cookman. Because the game they played last Saturday at Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State fans will tell you that they don't want to see them play first halves like that. The second half was much better than the first, and I expect to see them put together a full game. I think that that you're going to see some points scored in this game, man. Give me Jackson State. Then you've got another homecoming matchup that's going down in FAMU down there at Bragg Memorial, where you've got Texas Southern, who's making the trip all the way across I-10 to come to Tallahassee to take on the Rattlers. Now, the Rattlers, they're in a position where They know that they need to win, and they need to get some help from Jackson State. They've been very, very tough in that building, as everybody knows. And Texas Southern, shout out to them. They've been playing good ball this year. They let one go against Southern, which might come back to bite them in the slides that I'm going to show you coming up. But shout out to them for playing some good ball. I think that they'll be able to do a few things in this game, but I think FAMU is going to do kind of the same thing to them like they did to Southern last week, which is completely smother them and take them out. Give me FAMU. Then we've got the game, my team. I'm going to be at this game. I'm actually leaving tomorrow here from Ohio to go down there to see this game. Southern's coming in off of their loss to FAMU, and it's been a long time since the Bulldogs have been able to knock off those Jaguars. 2012, 8 straight meetings. So this game right here, I think that you're going to see two hungry teams, very desperate to prove something, because neither team looked well last week. Our team didn't look very good at all against Alabama State. I think that this is going to be a 4-quarter football game where you're going to have the defense of Southern and their running game try to get things done against, the throwing and passing and maybe a little bit of running from A&M. I think that this is going to be a game that's going to be played in the 20s. I actually hear you, Benny. I like this pick right here because that's kind of where I'm seeing it as. I think A&M finds a way to bounce back. Shout out to my Southern folks, though. And then the biggest game of the week, the Port City Classic, going down there in Mobile. You've got Alabama State, who's coming off of a big win in the Magic City Classic, and they're going to take on Alcorn. Alcorn, they had a bye last week. As you can see, they played 8 straight weeks. And this game was a very, very strange one last year when these two got together. They got together down there in Montgomery. It's 23-20. Alcorn pulled this off. This game's in Mobile. And with this game being in Mobile, the presumption would be that you would have a predominantly amount of Alabama State fans. This game right here, which is so big, is that with both teams sitting in their current place, sitting in second place of the East and West respectfully, you want to be able to get this win to stay in position. I'm going to give the nod to Alabama State here because I think that Alcorn, prior to the bye, one thing that they had happen to them, they gave up 295 yards rushing to Southern. But it's not so much about the amount of yardage. It's about the fact that Southern ran the ball 50 times to get 295 yards rushing. Now, we know that Alabama State, they generally don't, they haven't really been able to throw the ball. They did a little bit against Valley, and you saw a little bit of it in the first half of the game last week against Alabama A&M. But their running game has been pretty solid with Kinsey and also Holtzclaw. Now, Alcorn, they also run the ball well with Xavier Vaughn and Jacobian Sewell. Or Jacorian Sewell. But you see these guys from Alabama State with the way they play defense. I think that that's going to be the deciding factor, and I'm going to take Alabama State in a low-scoring game that'll be around 17-14. All right? So that is the preview of the games that we have coming up. Now, let's look at the standings, and then what I'm going to do here for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about the current standings, and then I'm going to talk about some clinching scenarios. All right. So as you can see right now, you've got Jackson State sitting on top of the East with a 4-0 record. All right. Now you see that they have the 3 games that they played against the East where they beat FAMU, they beat Bethune-Cookman, and they beat Alabama A&M. And their one win against the West was against Texas Southern. So basically, as you can see, with their head-to-head win over FAMU, the East is on their racket. As long as they take care of their business moving forward, they can be in position to host the SWAC championship game. All right, so I'll get into more of that in a minute. And then here's the West, as you've got Southern and Alcorn, sitting there 3-1, but Southern is in the lead because of their head-to-head victory over Alcorn 2 weeks ago. You can see that Southern's key wins in the West, they were able to beat Alcorn, Texas Southern, and Prairie View. All right, and their one East loss was just last week against FAMU. So basically, as this resides, Southern is sitting in a position where they've got 3 tiebreaker victories over teams that are chasing them. Basically, Alcorn needs to finish 1 game better than Southern. And same thing as Texas Southern. And then Pine Bluff hasn't played Southern yet. They will in a few weeks. And then you've got Prairie View and you've got Grambling sitting down there at 1-3. All right. So with everything that I just said there, here's a little bit of what we're looking at. Okay. Now you've got a 3-horse race really in the East. Now I know Jackson State people will say, what do you mean 3-horse race? We're firmly in front. Yeah, but you got to play the games and you got to play them out. Okay. So you can see that they got Pine Bluff this week, and then they have Valley, and then they have 2 big road games at the end. Then you look at what Alabama State has, and you look at what FAMU has. Okay. But what I want to bring your attention to here on the next slide is this. All right. You've got a potential for a 3-way tie. And you look at the head-to-head so far. Jackson State has beaten FAMU. FAMU's beaten Bama State. And then you've got Jackson State playing at Alabama State on November the 16th. Now, if FAMU and Alabama State each win the rest of their games, and let's say Jackson State wins all their games except for the one at Alabama State on November 16th, you would have a potential of all 3 teams being tied at 7-1 in league play. And the way you would have a tiebreaker, you would see that each team would have a divisional record of 4-1 in the East by beating each other. Okay. Then each team would have beaten the West opponents. They would have gone 3-0 against their West opponents to make them 7-1. Okay. So with this potential tiebreaker scenario, you would be running into, and I have it here at the end here, you would be running into this whole mass of chaos. Now, if we get to this point where you have 3 or more teams tied with the same record, I will more than happily explain all this to everybody if we get there. But I just wanted to, for the sake of bringing it up today, I'll go back just to say that you could have the potential that all 3 teams could be tied at 7-1 with the same divisional record and the same non-divisional record. I know Jackson State people, you're like, no, we are not interested in that. FAMU and Alabama State folks are like, yes, we are interested. But here, the realism of the thing is this, okay? If you're Jackson State, the biggest thing that's so easy for everybody to understand is if they win their next 3 games, if they go ahead on and they take care of Pine Bluff, they take care of Valley, and they take care of Alabama State, assuming that FAMU and Alabama State each win their next few games, if Jackson State wins their next 3, they win the East. Simple as that. But if for some reason, you get what I said before, where you have this 3-way tie, then it gets dicey. So you keep your eye on that. Now, here's what you got in the West as things stand. All right. Southern, they're in the pole position by virtue of the fact that they've defeated Alcorn, Prairie View, and Texas Southern, right? Alcorn so far has only defeated Grambling and UAPB, okay? Now, considering that Southern leads Alcorn with that head-to-head win, you see, as I said before, Texas Southern, Prairie View, and Alcorn, and then you can also throw Grambling into there as well, and UAPB to be, UAPB hasn't played them yet, but you can throw Texas Southern, Prairie View, and Alcorn in this scenario because they've all played Southern and lost to them. They need to win. They need to finish ahead of them. All right. Now, there's elimination possibilities already, right? If you're Prairie View and you're Grambling, look away. You probably know this anyway, but I'll say it anyway. Prairie View can be eliminated this week if Southern beats Alabama A&M and they lose at Valley. Why is that? Why does that happen? Well, the only way Prairie View can get there is to get there now is they need all chaos. They need a lot of it. They basically would need Southern to go 4-4. And I'll pull it up right here. If you look at where Prairie View is sitting at 1-3, they would need Southern to go 4-4 because they've already lost to Southern. All right, now I'll switch back. So if Prairie View loses and Southern wins, they're eliminated. Also, Grambling, if Alcorn wins and they lose to Bethune-Cookman, they're eliminated. And the reason why they'd be eliminated is for the exact same reason. With them already being at 1-3 and already losing to Alcorn, they need to be one game better. So they would have to win out and they would need Alcorn to finish 4-4. All right. So that's where we sit, man. It's really crazy to think that we're at week number 10 and sitting on week number 10. You've got so many things that you have to look at now in terms of getting serious in terms of West and East. And, Benny, I like what you said here. West champion will have 2 losses at least. You can pretty much count on that. And I'll pull up here some of the schedules. All right. So when we talk about the West, let's pull up Southern schedule. Okay. So you look at what Southern has. And honestly, for me, I think that Southern has probably the most favorable schedule out of the rest of the West contenders. And the reason why I say that is, you have shout out to my team, but man, who the heck are we? We're Jekyll and Hyde. I'm sure that we're going to push them, but that I would consider that to be kind of favorable. Bethune-Cookman, how they've been playing. Now, Pine Bluff, that could go either way for them, but they've got some home games. And then, of course, we know the game at the end against Grambling. We know how that can go. But when you look at Southern schedule in comparison to what Alcorn State has to navigate, they got the game against Alabama State this weekend. And then they've lost to Texas Southern 2 years in a row. Okay. And then the trip to Prairie View, that's no slouch. Even if Prairie View's out of it by then, they're still going to play hard. They're not going to lay down. And then obviously the one at the end with the Soul Bowl, a rivalry game that can go either way, but it's going to be pretty tough for Alcorn in comparison to the schedule that Southern has on paper. Now, of course, you still have to play the games. But one other team that I want to bring to your attention, if I get to them, is this team right here, Texas Southern. Now, Texas Southern, if you look at where they sit now, man, they've played some games. Now, I said before, the game that they played up against Southern, that big Southern loss. If they don't make it, that's the one that they're probably going to see in their sleep. Because had they won that game against Southern, they would be in some really, really good position to surprise some folks and possibly get out of the West. Now, Texas Southern, they're still in position to possibly get there, but it's going to take a lot. First off, that game against FAMU, good luck. But if they pull off a surprise, you know, it'll definitely get the attention of several folks and they'll still be in position. But if you're in the West right now, like I said before, you need Southern to start backing up. So if I was to be a betting man and put stuff on it right now, looking at the schedule that Jackson State has, and I'm getting to it, and here it is right here. Looking at what Jackson State has, I honestly don't see them losing. I don't. Now, the way that Jackson State could lose a game, and you saw it when they lost to Grambling, and you nearly saw it when they beat FAMU, is turnovers. Turnovers are the ultimate equalizer. Turnovers can get you beat in games that you dominate. They outgained Grambling 483 to 270. But they turned the ball over 5 times. And two of those turnovers, one was a pick six, one was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. And another turnover set them up on a short field. So, and then the game against FAMU, everybody knows they turned the ball over 4 times, 3 fumbles and an interception. They dominated the game statistically against FAMU, but they were they were 4 minutes away from possibly losing when they were down 21-20, and then the 2 fumbles at the end that they recovered, and they turned that game on its head. So for me, Jackson State, I know a lot of the fans believe that, hey, we got this thing in the bag. But like I said here, and you said it for me, Will, can't nobody beat JSU but JSU. And you're right about that. And I will also add another thing to this. You play a first half like you did against Bethune-Cookman. You know, playing up against a team that you should be just dominating. Now, you probably get away with that against Valley. But you can't possibly think you're going to get away with it against Alabama State and Alcorn. And you know what? If you don't come prepared against Arkansas Pine Bluff with the way they play offense, you might turn a game like that into a shootout. So the important thing right now for Jackson State, you just take care of your business, man. You play the games the way you play them, you execute. Don't turn the ball over. Don't get stupid penalties. You do what you do, and you should be just fine. The way they're running the ball with Irv Mulligan right now, you know, it's a thing of beauty the way it's working. You know, you keep doing what you're doing, and you should be able to get to the championship in the SWAC. All right, so I see what y'all see. Everybody in here, I like everybody in here. You know, we chopping it up. I like everything. Let's see what he said. He said, "I'm not looking ahead, but that Bama State, we got to come with it when we do play it. These next 2, yep, you're right. You're right. Talking about that Pine Bluff game, yep, and that Valley State game, yep. Them 2 games at the end, man. Whoo-wee. And then what we got here? He said Alcorn's played in 2. Yeah, they have. Definitely has. Yeah, A&M will beat Southern because Maynard is coaching for his job. Okay. You said it. All right. Hey. What is this? What you got here? Alcorn is going to win the West. The SWAC will have the Soul Bowl title game. Okay, so Bakari, holla at me, man. So you say Alcorn's gonna win the West. Okay, so let's go to Alcorn's schedule then. All right, holla at me then. So you're saying, so with them, well, actually, here's the better thing. So with them being tied, well, with them being one behind them now, needing Southern to lose one, right? You tell me here in the comments how you think it's going to play out, because you're saying that Alcorn's going to get there. I don't disagree with you, but I just love to hear your rationale. Let's see. Said, hey, what's up, Said? What do you think about the Alcorn Alabama State game? Do you think Alcorn can win at home? Well, here, I'll pull this up, man. This game isn't at home. This game is in Mobile. This was an Alcorn home game that they moved to Mobile as part of the Port City Classic. Okay, so to your question, do you think Alcorn can win versus that defense? Honestly, I think they can. One thing that you did see in the second half that Alabama A&M did, they were able to throw the ball. They kind of mixed it up a little bit. I think the key in this game, if you're Alcorn, is what did you do with your bye week? Now, before the bye week, and I said this a little bit earlier, Southern 50 rushes, 295 yards last time out against that Alcorn defense. Now, some people could say, well, you know, they played 8 straight weeks. This was their first bye week. You possibly could say that, but still, they didn't stop the run very well. And if you're going to win this game, Said, if you're Alcorn, you're going to have to stop that run, because, Bozeman, Kinsey had 150 yards rushing against A&M. And then Holtzclaws had multiple 100-yard rushing games. So I think that the key to this game, I think that Alcorn is going to have to throw it. Now, I know that Sewell and Vaughn, they've been really good in the run game. But what you got to understand in this case here is that it's going to be more of a matter of they got to be able to stop Alabama State in that run game. And they got to force Kareem Key to be more of a passer. All right. Said, what the hell? Wasn't there a classic in Mobile? Yeah, there was. Alabama A&M played in the Gulf Coast Challenge against Jackson State. Why waste a home game in nowhere? Hey, man, you know what? Money talks, brother. He says, in Key we trust. Go Hornets. Hey, good on them. All right, let's see what he said. Southern should win out. All right, let's look at this. All right, so, I mean, I can see that. I can see that they could possibly win out. But here's my question to you, William, and anybody else that's out here that's a Southern fan. Given the fact that they've been, let's look at the timeline, okay? I'm just going to say recently. Let's throw out the Nichols game, okay? Let's look at the Prairie View game. You know, they didn't look good for about three quarters of that game. They came back, they took advantage. Their defense played good, took it to overtime. Texas Southern, let's be honest, they had no business winning that game, right? They got a good fortune. Okay, now Alcorn, that was the best game that they played the entire season. Okay. But then they turn around last week and come out and look terrible against Florida A&M. Couldn't throw it. And really, you know, they got 120 yards rushing, but they had less than 100 yards passing. Okay. So I'm just really concerned about Southern because they run too hot cold. Now, if they played the way they did against Alcorn, yes, I could see them potentially winning out. But we have not seen them play complete games back to back yet. So that's why I'm just wondering if Southern can win out. Now, you said how many points TSU offense scored against us? That was 19. Yeah, 19. It said, did they score a touchdown last game? No, 2 field goals. Joshua Griffin, 2 field goals. There you go. Alabama State is not that good. Y'all giving them too much credit. Well, you know what, man? Alabama State, they got defense, man. Can't deny that. And their defense is top 10 in the FCS. Let's see. Cedric Walker. That's why I'm saying that game counts. So they need to pull out. Alcorn wins, will be fine. It's still neck and neck. So Alcorn has to come through. Yeah, so with Alcorn, pretty much right now, the way Alcorn sits, and I'll pull their schedule up. This is going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough for Alcorn. You know, the big thing, if you're Alcorn and you're an Alcorn fan, don't look ahead. Just look at it as the game that you need to win in the current week. And also don't even look at what Southern needs to do. Because you know Southern needs to lose a game, but you just need to look at it in the sense of if we win our games, we put ourselves in the best position. That's the way Alcorn needs to look at it. You know, but out of their last 4 games, there's not a week off in any of it. Not a week off at all. So you said we're tough. We're used to these tough schedules anyway. Yeah. And you know what, man? I'm going to give it to you. Y'all have played some really good football. You know, a lot better than I thought. Because the way it started is definitely not the way I thought it would be right now. So, yeah. Said SU suck. Nobody on the west side is worthy. That's funny, man. But you know, one thing I want to know from everybody that's still here watching, man, I want to know what people think, though, about the potential of this happening. You know, and this is something that is very realistic. It could happen that you'd have a 3-way tiebreaker. Now, the way that this would happen is, I said this before, Jackson State would have to lose at Alabama State for this to happen. And also Alabama State and FAMU would need to win all of their games for this to happen, right? And you can have a potential where you have all 3 teams tied at 7-1 in league play, where they've defeated each other. They all would have the same East record of 4-1, and they all would have the same West record of 3-0. You know, and I talked a little bit earlier about what some of the tiebreaker scenarios in this case would be, but I'm just curious to see what everybody would think if we got to this. So I'm laughing. I'm looking here, man. I'm having fun. This is cool stuff, guys. Look at y'all guys. Better stop sleeping on Kareem Key at QB. The baby assassin will kill you with accurate passes. Yeah, if it goes to a 3-way tie, tiebreaker G comes into play. Yep. You're talking about best point differential between the tied teams in head-to-head matchups. You are absolutely correct. And right now, the point differential right now is you've got Jackson State sitting in a position. But again, Bama State and FAMU would need to win all the rest of their games for us to even get to that point. And yeah, Bama State to beat Yep. Then you got Jackson State wins best record versus common opponents. Well, right now that's the case. But Crook, here's the thing. This is going to change because you look at the records between the teams that they're all playing, they're all going to change. And this thing can ebb and flow based off of, you know, teams winning and losing over the last 4 calendar weeks here. So right now, yeah, Jackson State would have that. But once we get to the end of the season, we can't say that will definitely be the case because we don't know the win-loss record against those common opponents. Yeah, but it's an interesting scenario to think of. Personally, I don't believe that it's going to get to this. My thinking is that I think that you're going to see Jackson State take care of their business. I I think that Jackson State is going to they're going to win the games that they need to win. I think they're going to win these next 3 right here and close shop. And that's just basically where I see it at. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the prettiest. It just needs to be wins. At this point, that's all it really needs to be, because this ain't major college football. This is not where, you know, you need to blow everybody out to get style points. This is not what it's about. At this point, this is about just winning and losing. You win the games you need to win, you're going to go on. Right? Benny said, dang, that means FAMU would need Jackson to lose by 15 plus points. Yeah, if the season ended right now, it would be like that. But again, you know, there are certain things that could come into play with the way that these teams that they played. So let's just say, for just example, our common teams that have been played, right? Common opponents. All right. So you look at Texas Southern has been played in conference by Jackson State. They're also playing Pine Bluff. Okay. And they're also going to play Alcorn State. Okay. Who else is playing Texas Southern? FAMU's playing them Saturday. Okay. But that's one common opponent that they share. There's Alabama State. Alabama State's here. Alabama State's playing Alcorn. Okay. That's a common opponent. And they're also going to play, let's see. Yeah, that's the only common opponent. So, you know, just depending on the way Alcorn, the way Texas Southern, you know, it just depends. It depends. And it also depends on the way the other teams play itself out. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But again, let's just quickly go back over the games that we got here. So we've got Prairie View going down there to Valley. Again, if Prairie View loses this game, and Southern wins, Prairie View is done. They're eliminated. They'll be playing the rest of the games the last 3 weeks, just for the last 3 weeks. Down there in Daytona, if Grambling loses this game and Alcorn beats Alabama State, Grambling will be eliminated from West Consideration. Crazy. I do expect Grambling to back it up, though. I think a lot of people believe that Grambling, with the way that things have gone down, you got to believe that Grambling, the players, are going to find a way to respond, because you can't let your coach go out here and say what he said, right? And put his reputation out there and you not show up and back him up in Daytona. I just can't see it. Now, anybody out here listening, anybody disagree with me? Can you possibly see Grambling not showing up for this game, given the fact that Mickey Joseph went and said what he said? Let's see. Grambling coach will be on the hot seat next year. Yeah, you're right. He better get his stuff together. You're right. Hey, in Daytona. Ooh. Yeah, you're right, Lionel. You're right, man. If they lose in Daytona after all this, oh my goodness. He said, we gonna just call him Rustin. It go, Grambling will show up. I think he was in his feelings. You know what, man? In his feelings? Yeah, he was in his feelings. I mean, and you know, I saw this on Swacking the Food last night. Shout out to my boy G and J Max and Al, you know, when they were talking about it. And G brought up a real good point when he said that, you know, bad officiating, it happens to everybody. And it's true. But the way, let's just say it like this, everybody. Everybody watches football in all conferences. Everybody. We all see it. And you see bad calls, they run a dime a dozen. But one thing you see in our league, though, man, let's just say it like this. When you have a review, Lord forbid, man, you have a review in our conference. That joker, man, it may take 5 minutes. And then they'll show it from every which way, and you'll say to yourself, all right, yeah, that definitely wasn't targeting. Or yeah, that was targeting. Oh, that was a fumble. And then they come after all that and they say, after further review, the call on the field stands. And also, man, it's just the fact that there's so many flags that get thrown from week to week. Now, don't get me wrong with that, too. A lot of the flags that get thrown, like holding, we got linemen that poor footwork, poor technique. They just grab the guy. They don't move their feet, don't get in front of, just grab the guy. But there's a lot of flags, man, that get thrown in our games. So that part I can say. But yeah, he was in his feelings. He was in his feelings. But he definitely said something that basically everybody's been thinking and knowing for years. Yeah, it's going to be tough on offense for them. Yeah, you're right. Now, Del-J Bailey, when he played, they pretty much were one-dimensional for real. They were running. And I don't know how much better their offense could get in 1 week. We'll find out. We definitely will find out in short order. But I think one thing they're going to have to do, they're going to have to rely on their defense. And, Luke Sprague, if he looks the way he did in the first half against Jackson State, who knows? Now, mind you, last time Grambling went down here with you, left with a loss. Now, this is a different team, different time, but this is going to be a tough one for Grambling. I think that they can be, BCU with the upset. Hey, but is it an upset though, Jordan? Would it be an upset, everybody? That's a good question. And said, talking about these refs. They've been bad at keeping game pace, inconsistent with referee and trench play. Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about. All these holdings. Yeah, he says indeed, it'll be an upset. Okay, I'll give it to you. Okay, the next one we talked about this game here. Now, everybody, you already know that the only way that UAPB can possibly compete in this game and make this thing worth something, you're gonna need Mekhi Hagan to be special, and also Giovanni Gibson, and that run game's gonna need to do something, because you've seen UAPB score points. You ain't necessarily seen them stop anybody. You ain't necessarily seen them stop anybody. So I don't think they're gonna be able to stop some folks. Stop these guys. I think that they're gonna really have to score and score a lot. Jordan said this game's gonna be closer than people think. Yeah. All right. The question is though, Jordan, how close? How close will it get? That's the question. Because some people believe close is 21 points, 17. How close is close? But I think that in this position, 35-24. You know what, man? If Jackson State comes out and plays like they did in the first half against Bethune-Cookman, I can see that. But, I don't know. We'll see. A part of me believes, though, that Jackson State is going to come out with a point to prove here. I think they're going to come out and they're going to look to try to do something and put this thing to bed kind of early, not give these guys anything. And yeah, Peasy, you right. They can score 17-24 on just about anybody. And I think what's important is that you have to realize that Mekhi Hagan is just as dangerous of a runner as he is as a passer. And yeah, UAP's offense, that's exactly what I was just saying. They don't really stop anybody, man. They don't stop folks. So the only way I see them competing in this ball game, they're going to have to really turn this thing into a shootout. And if this thing turned into a shootout, I'd take my chances with Jackson State. So homecoming. And then this game here, the game down there at Bragg, where you've got Texas Southern coming on in. Now, the thing about Texas Southern, they have not been able to really throw that ball at all. It hasn't mattered who the quarterback has been. Now, with Jace Wilson has been a little bit better throwing the ball. Now, running, Quintel Quinn has been a guy that they've leaned on to get those tough yards down the stretch of games. Texas Southern, they don't wow you really anywhere. They're just more so like, hey, we hang around, we'll win ugly. We'll punt, we'll play defense, we'll be opportunistic. This game here, y'all know the way it is down there at Bragg, that atmosphere down there, especially with being homecoming, it's going to be hard for anybody. And I don't see Texas Southern having a chance in this game. And then the game that I'm going to, my alma mater, Alabama A&M, Lord, I hope that our best team shows up. But as everybody knows, everybody says, Maynard, this could be the last days. As they always say, Custer's last stand, you're probably looking at it. Who knows, man? I don't have that answer. But what you know is Southern, they haven't been able to put together complete games just like Alabama A&M has. A&M, the best game they played all season was 701 total yards up against Bethune-Cookman, right? I think that Southern, the one thing that they can lean on, their defense has been pretty consistent. That's the only part of their game, their team that's been consistent. Offensively, it does not matter if it's been Bodden. It does not matter if it's been T-Set. It does not matter who they've had at quarterback. They have not been able to really have any consistent throwing. Now, Dillon and Rhymes, they've been pretty good at running. Now they were kind of average against FAMU, but they were phenomenal against Alcorn. If Southern's going to win this game, that running game is going to have its say so. I think A&M is going to be able to throw the ball though, and I think that they're going to have the right balance to be able to get this one done. I don't have a lot of confidence in my team right now, y'all, but I just feel like, given the fact that they were embarrassed and they look so badly for 3+ quarters against Alabama State, I think they're going to come out and get the win in this game. And then lastly, we'll close it up on this one. The game that's taking place down there in Mobile, Alabama. The game where both teams need this badly. 2 second-place teams that need a win to stay in position in their respective divisions. Alcorn coming off its bye week. And then you've got Alabama State with its vaunted defense. This is something that, this game could be low scoring. And you can see where both teams just try to wear each other down. And in this game, I'm going with Alabama State in a very close one. I think this game's going to be like somewhere like 17-14 to me. Now, Jordan, you got 24-14. Yeah, it could be like that too. But I think now let's look at it this way. For Alabama State, they're going to have to be able to show a way to throw the ball. Now, they did it against Valley, but then again, everybody has. They did it in the first half against A&M, and then A&M began to, come up and they began to take that away. But one thing that they did real well against A&M was they ran the ball. Kinsey with 150 plus yards. Holtzclaw, he can get loose. But also on the other side, Xavier Vaughn and Sewell can both run the ball as well. So this game, if any team can get any piece of a passing game together, you can see that team getting the advantage. Expect a pro Alabama State crowd for what is supposed to be an Alcorn home game. But I do have Alabama State. I like this game, man. I think it's gonna be real good. So that game's gonna be on ESPN Plus. So yeah, man. I'm glad that everybody took the time to hang out, man. We had a good time here early in the day. You know, I hope everybody likes the stream. I hope everybody, you know, subscribes to this channel, man, because we got big things. And also, man, tune in Sunday night, man. I do my recap. You know, we're gonna go through all the games and then, you know, hand out my ride tokens. And then also we'll set up the you know, the schedule for what's coming up on week 11, because there's some more big games that are coming up this road. So I see you guys up here talking still. It said Bama State's not giving up 20 points. Yeah, Alcorn home game of Mobile is crazy. Hey, you know what, man? Money talks, bruh. Money talks. Hey, man, appreciate that. Appreciate that, guys. Hey, everybody, you know, like I said, tune in, man. Sunday night, man. We'll be back 7 p.m. Central. The recap with Wild Wayne and friends. So I appreciate y'all. And we'll talk to you soon, y'all. Be blessed.
Thank you for joining us on the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. As you exit the ride, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button, and catch up on all of our prior episodes. Until next time, God bless.